So I got a question from Fresh Young Dude in the comments section of our Are We Wrong About Oxalate Sensitivities Issues video. And Fresh Young Dude said, any videos about abnormally loud digestive tracts? I've tried everything, no other symptoms, and I see a lot of other people asking about this in the comments section too. So if a lot of people are asking, then we should cover this. And I hear from people that are concerned. I got all this racket going on in my stomach, and am I broken, and am I gonna die by Thursday? But in this video, I'm going to help you understand that there are scenarios where there might not really be anything to worry about, but there also are some scenarios where there really could be some problems that you could stand to address a little bit. So if your wife has to wear noise canceling headphones to sit next to you on the couch, then you don't want to miss this.
TC Hale is not a doctor and does not claim to be a doctor or licensed in any type of medical field. Don't be an idiot and use anything heard on the show as medical advice. This information should be used for educational purposes only, and you should contact your doctor for any medical advice. Now get off me.
So it appears that these noises kind of come from smooth muscle contractions in your intestinal tract and just kind of moving things along. It's not really a sign of, oh man, I must really be hungry like a lot of people think. It's more about just the digestive tract in action and that whole digestive process taking place. And some people say that when food is present, it can kind of muffle that sound so it's not so loud. But then once the food has moved through from these contractions moving things along, then all of a sudden there's no food there, and then your digestive tract is like this empty echoing cave that just like barrels the noise all over the place, and the people in the apartment next to you are like, hey, everything okay? Kind of sounds like there's some demons over there in 12B. So it kind of seems like it's happening when you're hungry, but it might just be that the food has kind of moved through. So these contractions from the intestinal tract that help move food, and even just food particles that are left over, and even mucus and bacteria through that intestinal tract, is kind of like this house cleaning contractions that happen like in cycles. And so it might be really loud for 20 to 30 minutes, and then it might quiet down a little bit later on. And it kind of seems like that there's issues that can magnify the amount of sound that can be made. Like the muscular contractions in the intestinal walls are going to make these sounds, so those cycles can depend on how much sound is being made. It can depend on how much liquid is in the intestinal tract, and it can depend on the amount of gas. So there's a variety of issues going on that all can be kind of okay things. We're going to have liquid in our digestive tract. There's going to be some gas. These walls are going to move and move things along. So you can have some noise going on, and especially like, fresh young dude, fresh dude. It was double fresh dude. I don't remember, but he said he didn't have any other symptoms. And so if a person isn't having a lot of other digestive symptoms, then there really might not be a lot of trouble. Maybe there's just a really hollow chamber in there that's echoing a lot and creating all kinds of racket. But when we look at the aspects that they tell us can really magnify these sounds, then we see that improper digestive function can really create a lot of trouble, because if someone doesn't have enough stomach acid to acidify their food and really break it down properly, then that food breaks down by process of rotting and fermenting, and that rotting and fermenting can create more gases and even toxins, and that's going to increase the level of gases in that intestinal tract. Just like we said, increased gases can create more noise. Poor bile flow. If a person's bile has become too thick and sticky to flow correctly, then they have a hard time emulsifying fats, and that can create a lot of trouble. But also it's the bile that the liver makes and stores in the gallbladder that comes down when the acid food leaves the stomach. It helps us neutralize those acids. So if bile isn't flowing correctly, which is really common, then the acids leaving the stomach are not getting neutralized. So as they move through the intestinal tract, well, those acids are made to break down protein. That's what your intestinal tract is made of. So the body doesn't want that to happen, so it'll bring all this water that it can from anywhere to the intestinal tract to cool off those acids and kind of rush everything out the back door. And now we have more liquids in the intestinal tract, just like we mentioned, that can be a problematic factor. To make things worse, either low stomach acid or poor bile flow can result in a bacterial overgrowth, where that's going to create a lot more gases. I'll put a link in the description below for a study that shows that low stomach acid issues can really open the door for infections to come in and kind of set up camp and create all kinds of trouble. So if there's a lot of bacteria in either the stomach or the small intestine where it really shouldn't be, they can create a lot of gases and create more of that problems. So just remember, those house cleaning contractions are meant to move through food particles, mucus, and things like that, and bacteria. So if a person had a lot more bacteria, maybe they had SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, where there's a lot of bacteria in the small intestine, like all the cool kids have SIBO nowadays. So if there's a lot of bacteria in there, wouldn't that make sense that there would need more contractions to kind of move things through? If there's too much, the body's just trying to do its job and move things along. So you might be making a whole lot more racket. And this makes a little bit more sense. Let me read this example that Dr. Google said when I looked this kind of stuff up, is that malabsorption occurs when nutrients are not absorbed well by the small intestine. One common example is the bowel sounds and gas resulting from lactose intolerance. So a lot of people are lactose intolerant and they're not digesting those milk sugars correctly in dairy products because they're not making enough of that lactase enzyme, or maybe they have other sensitivities to the problem. But that can create a lot more problem that's going to be like the bacteria in the colon that ferments that lactose because it really didn't get broken down correctly. And this releases a lot more hydrogen and other substances and gases. And now the fluids come to the gut. So now we have more gases and fluid and all these reasons to create a lot more of those contractions and a lot more noise. So here we have noises that are actually being created by trouble. And this is trouble that we really want to correct so that digestion can function correctly and we can get the nutrients out of the food that we're eating. To kind of confirm this, we see a lot. If you look up IBS, you'll see that increased stomach gurgling or bowel sounds are reported frequently with people with IBS. So we know that IBS is an issue where there are some digestive malfunctions and it's not really working the way that it should. So some of these things can be happening where things are not breaking down correctly. There's bacteria or some type of other varmint in there creating extra gases, more fluids going to things to deal with problems where digestion is not working the way that it should. So all of these things have the ability to kind of increase the level of contractions that need to take place, and that's going to be a whole lot more noise. So if you got a lot of noise coming from your stomach and you're dealing with any type of digestive issues at all, like anything like burping or bloating or acid reflux or constipation or diarrhea or nausea or even skin or acne issues, all of these are signs that digestion is not working the way that it's supposed to. So if that's the case, if you can correct those digestive malfunctions, then your stomach might shut up long enough to get through a movie. So if you're dealing with any of those issues, my book, Kick Your Fat in the Nuts, chapters 3 and 4, walks you through figuring out what aspects of digestion might not be working correctly and what steps you can take to improve those. And the book is available on Amazon, but I'm going to put a link in the description below where you can get the whole thing totally for free. So if you can improve those issues, then maybe your neighbors don't think you have a demon in the house and your stomach will quiet down a little bit. And I know I'm going to hear from somebody that's going to say, well, hey, you didn't tell me what I should do to fix it. And that's because I don't know what you should do to fix it, because you can look by all the variety of things that could possibly create this problem. How could one remedy fix all of those underlying causes? It would never happen. If you're thinking that one thing could fix the underlying cause for everybody, then you're living in a fictional world. And if that's the case, I wouldn't mind meeting Alf. I've always thought it'd be cool to meet Alf. But when you want to correct a problem in your body, you really need to look at your body and figure out what's the underlying cause of that problem for you. So my book will walk you through that process, and then you can find your own answers, not what helped your neighbor, because what helped your neighbor might make your situation worse if the underlying causes are different. So if you need a little help figuring out if there are digestive malfunctions, jump over right now and check out our video on 20 signs that you're not digesting your food correctly. Let us know how it goes.